Coming up on News Live at 6, controversy for commencement. This year's graduation will be held on the quad, but that's not the only change to graduation weekend. What you need to know.
And it's been beautiful the past couple of days in Syracuse. Weather anchor Sunny Balkin has her full weather forecast later in the show.
Plus, the new SU Abroad Center in Bird Library is now open. We spoke with the outreach director about what it means for students. Citrus TV News starts right now.
This is Citrus TV News Live at 6, your campus news leader.
In an email to students today, the university officially announced that this year's commencement will take place on the quad. Good evening, I'm Gabrielle Caracciolo.
And I'm Conor Wight. The announcement comes after months of student speculation back in April that it was announced that construction on the dome would interfere with the class of 2020's graduation weekend. Joining us now live from the quad is Citrus TV reporter Katie Lane. Now, Katie, what else can you tell us about this year's commencement ceremony?
According to this morning's email, the dome will close on March 1st and reopen in the fall. The email directed students to the commencement.syr.edu website for further information on the graduation weekend. On that site, a schedule for the individual colleges' convocations were listed. That schedule features numerous changes to locations and times. For example, the Arts and Sciences convocation, which was traditionally taken place in the Dome on Saturday morning, will now take place in Manley Fieldhouse on Friday morning. We talked to students about how these changes impacted their plans.
I'm very disappointed. I came here on the promise that I would be graduating in the Dome. I think it's a bit ridiculous that this is a promise they make to all incoming students, and I think they should honor it.
Now we have to figure out what we're going to do on Saturday. Is everyone going to be able to make it in time? We have to fix our hotel reservations.
It seems like it could be pretty, but you're wondering how you're going to fit that many people on the quad, I think, as well. A lot of people are wondering, too.
And I feel like in upstate New York, I went to high school here, we didn't have graduation outside. That just wasn't a thing because it's so unpredictable. So.
Individual colleges' convocations are typically held on the Saturday of graduation weekend. So as you heard, some students are now facing problems like rescheduling flights and hotel to accommodate the change. Citrus TV reached out to the Chancellor's office and Provost Michelle Wheatley to ask why these events will now be on Friday, but they have yet to respond to our questions. Connor, back to you.
Thank you, Katie. Also here on campus, SU Abroad Satellite Office and Bird Library is officially open. This afternoon, the Abroad office hosted a grand opening event at their new office on the bottom floor of the library. SU Abroad's campus outreach manager says the new office is helping students get their abroad questions answered in a more convenient location.
You're studying, you can just leave your books, walk down to the basement and have any of your questions answered. I think that makes a difference.
This location does not replace the SU Abroad office on Walnut Place, which is still open.
And Syracuse University students are leaving the classroom and tackling a controversial issue: climate change. Students around campus are participating in a worldwide climate strike on Friday. Climate strikes have become one of the most influential ways of bringing awareness to climate change. Fiona Thayer, a student activist at SU, says that the quantity is what grabs attention. She says by getting a group of people together and going on strike, it brings importance and urgency to the issue.
The goal of the climate strike is to bring more attention to climate change. It's to bring more attention. It's to get the policymakers, our politicians, to pay attention to this because we are screaming right now and it feels like no one's listening to us.
Thayer is not alone in this fight to end climate change. Her voice and the voices of many SU students will be heard on Friday during the climate strike. SU students and staff participating will meet on the quad at 11:30 Friday morning. From there, they will move as a group into downtown Syracuse for the Sunrise CNY climate strike at Foreman Park.
And SU Information Technology Services will be updating the MySlice portal. MySlice will be unavailable starting Friday, September 27th at 5 in the evening until no later than 6 in the morning on Monday, September 30th. Some changes will be made to the site, like updated titles. Blackboard will still be available while MySlice is down.
And the Department of Public Safety is hiring as part of an effort to make residence halls more safe. Residential community safety officers will be stationed at the entrance of each residence hall for 24 hours a day during the 2020 spring semester. Citrus TV was the first to report the news that starting next summer, IDs will be checked at residence halls at night. DPS is looking to hire 90 residential community safety officers to start during next semester. And Syracuse University Libraries has a new budget director. Jennifer Collins will be responsible for managing and reporting of the library's $20.5 million budget. Collins was formerly the budget analyst of SU's Office of Budget and Planning. She earned her MBA degree from Lemoyne College.
And Syracuse University will celebrate Faculty and Staff Appreciation Day during the Syracuse football game against Holy Cross. Faculty, staff, and their guests can purchase $5 football tickets for the game on September 28th. They can also visit the Faculty and Staff Appreciation tent on the quad prior to the game to receive a game day gift and a coupon, for $5 off concessions.
Voting for residence hall councils is now open. Students in each dorm can vote for their representatives to serve in the RHA general body. Residence hall directors will be sending the voting forms this week. The voting period will stay open until next Tuesday.
Now, Gabrielle, on my walk to class this morning, I was a little chilly, but as the day progressed, it got a little warmer, and then in the evening, I felt a little chilly again. I feel like the temperatures are all over the place.
Yeah, I have no idea whether or not it's going to keep that warm weather that we saw around noon, or if it's going to get really cold. So let's take it over to our weather anchor, Sunny Balkin. What can we expect going forward?
You know what, guys? I know it's been a little chilly out lately, but I have good news for you. That 68 in the wall right there, that's going to be warming up throughout the week. We're going to go from 68, and when you lead into tomorrow, we're going to start getting into the 70s and even in the 80s as the weekend is approaching. That's right. So we have moderate humidity and expected to stay below 80%. So that means that when we get that heat, we're really going to be getting that heat. We're going to be getting a lot of good stuff. Look at that. 56 to 71 to 72 and clear skies. We are not going to see a lot of precipitation tomorrow or the next day, which is very pleasant because nobody wants to get their hair wet in the rain. That's just a no-no for everybody all around. Now let's take a look at the CNY current temperatures. You have 67, 67, 69, 65, a lot of 60s coming in here. So you're wondering, when are those 70s going to start rolling in? When are we going to start seeing those 80s? Well, don't worry, guys. I'm going to let you know in my full weather forecast coming up soon. Back to you guys.
All right, Sunny, thanks so much. We're learning new details in the $2 billion planned overhaul of I-81. We now know it will require reconstruction of bridges within an earshot of housing for the elderly and people with disabilities. Project officials say they are taking measures to avoid construction noise. The project director said they will leave jackhammers and other traditionally noisy tools at home and will instead use special saws to cut down the highway bridges. And the Syracuse Fire Department is planning an open house next month on the 2000 block of Lodi Street. The SFD says it will be an educational experience and will feature who else but the Smokey the Bear and other mascots. There will also be a parade in the morning starting in Washington Square.
Attention travelers, if you're headed to the airport here in Syracuse, be prepared for some crowds. The Syracuse Regional Airport Authority says August was the busiest month at Syracuse Hancock International in almost 30 years. Over 250,000 passengers used the airport last month. The airport executive director says that newly added flight routes are contributing to the increase in traffic.
And now an update on that limo crash from a year ago, which left 20 people dead in upstate New York. The Times-Union reported this week that the family of bystanders who were killed in that crash have filed a lawsuit against the store where the crash took place. The lawsuit claims that the Apple Barrel store has an unsafe parking lot where multiple crashes have taken place.
New York Governor Cuomo is extending the statute of limitations for second and third degree rape. Originally, victims had to tell police within 5 years of the crime happening. Now the new law sets the statute of limitations for second degree rape at 20 years and third degree rape at 10 years. Both offenses cover instances where a victim cannot consent as a result of age or mental capacity. Cuomo said that previous laws didn't give victims enough time to report the crime.
5 years is a terribly short period of time if you have any appreciation for what the person went through.
Governor Cuomo signed the bill into law in Manhattan on Wednesday. Me Too movement and Time's Up activists joined Cuomo at that press conference before signing.
And New York State is launching a campaign to educate the public about the state's new red flag laws. The law allows families and schools to ask officials to take away someone's gun if they believe the person poses a risk to themselves or others. A call center, a new website, and conferences are designed to tell people how to apply for an extreme risk protection order. A court will evaluate a petition that determines if a person's access to firearms needs to be temporarily restricted.
Coming up on Citrus TV News, tensions are still high in the Middle East after an attack on a Saudi oil facility.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is calling for a unity government. We'll have more details when we come back. Okay, seeing you and Wall.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
If you see news happening on campus, in Syracuse, or across the nation, call the Citrus TV newsroom.
Got a quarter?
They told me a bottle couldn't dream.
If you see news happening on campus, in Syracuse, or across the nation, call the Citrus TV newsroom, 315-443-1177, or tweet at Citrus TV News, your campus news leader.
Tensions continue to rise in the Middle East as Tehran's top diplomat warns that any retaliation aimed towards Iran will be met with all-out war. This comes after U.S. allegations of Iranian involvement in the recent strike on Saudi Arabia's oil fields.
Meanwhile, the attack continues to bolster support for the U.S.-led coalition against Iran, with both Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates joining the pledge.
Back in the United States, President Trump has put his signature on a new piece of the U.S.-Mexico border wall. The president calling the wall a world-class security system that will be virtually impenetrable.
Trump traveled to San Diego to tour this section of the wall and then sign it. He expects to build about 550 miles of the wall along the almost 2,000-mile border.
In Washington, the U.S. House of Representatives is set to pass a temporary spending bill to prevent a government shutdown.
The temporary measure would give lawmakers until Thanksgiving to pass a $1.4 trillion of spending bills. The annual spending bills would fill in the details of this summer's budget and debt agreement between President Trump and House Speaker Pelosi.
Staying on Capitol Hill, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is coming under fire from Democrats after announcing his support for a bill that would beef up state election systems. A Senate panel Thursday approved $250 million. McConnell says will go towards protecting America's voting infrastructure.
Some Democrats say the bill doesn't go far enough to shore up America's elections in the wake of foreign cyber attacks. They point to a broader piece of legislation that McConnell opposes.
And Airbnb is going public. The home-sharing company has announced it's planning its initial public offering for some point in 2020.
Airbnb has become one of the world's largest home-sharing platforms, with 6 guests checking into an Airbnb every second. The San Francisco company was valued at $31 billion last year. And the latest in a growing controversy surrounding Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. A third visual showing Trudeau wearing blackface has surfaced as he insists he's not that person anymore.
The Canadian publication Global News published a video of Trudeau in brownface in the mid-90s. That comes after pictures of then 29-year-old Trudeau in a turban and dark makeup surfaced last night. The scandal looms large with the Canadian federal election coming next month.
And Parliament is waiting for the ruling from the UK Supreme Court on whether or not Prime Minister Boris Johnson misled the Queen when he asked for the suspension of Parliament.
The ruling won't come until next week, and some lawmakers say that if the ruling goes against the Prime Minister, then Parliament should reopen. However, some experts say Johnson will still have the option to suspend Parliament again after the decision is made.
In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and rival Benny Gantz are both calling for a unity government today. This comes after their two political parties finished virtually deadlocked in the first repeat election in Israeli history.
That's right. Those are those early election results showing that the two parties are virtually tied.
And 30 civilians are dead in Afghanistan after a U.S. drone strike. It was meant to hit an Islamic State hideout, but missed its intended target. Those killed were harvesters that were resting after a day of work.
Witnesses say about 350 people were in the area when the strike occurred. U.S. officials and the Afghani Defense Ministry have confirmed the attack, but haven't released any more information. Coming up on News Live at 6, a potential raid of Area 51. Find out how small towns in Nevada are handling an influx of visitors.
And Citrus TV weather anchor Sunny Balkin has your forecast for Friday and the upcoming weekend. We'll be right back. Nice. Do you need the box?
From the Citrus TV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Now, I know you guys haven't seen a lot of rain out there, but I wanted to give you guys a visual just in case. Now, look at this. This is the East Coast right now. You have New York, Massachusetts, all your basic. And here we have rain kind of in the Atlantic Ocean near us. Now, when I press play, you can see not only is this ridiculously slow moving, but none of it is anywhere close to New York. And that green that you kind of see in the background over there, that is actually being pushed away from us, going a little bit downstate. So we're not going to get any of that this weekend. So not only will we have low humidity, we will have barely any precipitation, which is good news just all around for everybody's outfits. I'm very excited. I don't know about you guys. And that brings me to our outdoor activity outlook, my personal favorite slide, and it is on a high. Actually, it's on very high, which it hasn't been on for, I think, weeks, which is crazy because it was really oppressively hot in the summertime. Then it kind of had some rain this past few weeks, but now temperatures are in the low 70s, mid 80s, moderate humidity, and it's pretty much the last days of summer. It's kind of like the last weekend we could go out, go swimming, go hiking, really get out there. And that's going to bring me to my full weather forecast, which I think should excite you guys pretty much. Now look, that is sun, some more sun, a little bit of clouds, sun. Monday there's going to be some rain, but let's focus on the good stuff for right now. During the weekend we're going to have 75, 77, and then we're actually getting up into the 80s, 81 and 85. And on Sunday it is National New York Day. And I mean, that's pretty exciting. It's a lot of great things going on in New York right now. But on a more serious note, of course, we want to talk about what's going on in Texas. Tropical depression Imelda is dumping a massive amount of rain on Texas, and many of these areas are still recovering from the impact of Hurricane Harvey last year. The storm dropped about 35 inches of rain in some areas, and flooding is forcing evacuations and leaving others stranded. Now, though this is a more serious note, I'll pass it on to you guys.
Coming up, Dino Babers weighs in on what may be the strongest position on the Syracuse football team, the punter. Plus, more Antonio Brown drama. Keep it locked.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Come on, it's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness. I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
Well, it's week 4 for Syracuse football, and the Orange find themselves hovering below 500. Good evening, I'm Jonah Karp. Why does Syracuse have a losing record 3 games into the season? Well, the defense has given up an average of 52 points over their last 2 games. The offense has tallied 675 fewer yards than their opponents over the last 2 games. The special teams, they've actually been fairly solid. Sterling Hoffrechter earned National Punter of the Week honors for the first time in his career. Dino Babers didn't mince words when asked whether he thinks Hoffrechter is pretty good at this whole football thing.
I remember Coach Coughlin, who was the special teams coordinator, said at the time, he said, "Coach, this guy is good." And I said, "He's not good until I say he's good." And he kicked 3 balls, and I said, "Coach, this guy is good." And he's been that way ever since. He's an NFL kicker. If you saw, some of the hang time that he got on some of those kicks, like OMG, Google that if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, he is a weapon in the game, and he really helps to give us an opportunity to win. So he's an easy guy to talk about.
In the loss to Clemson, Hoffrechter was certainly a shining star, an otherwise fairly dark orange night. The redshirt senior booted a career-high 6 punts for at least 50 yards. Hoffrechter and the Orange are back in action this Saturday when they host Western Michigan at noon. Join us for Orange Press Pass for full post-game coverage following the contest. And in baseball, the Yankees need 1 more win to clinch the division title. They could have done it last night, but the Rays decided to pull out a victory in 11 innings. So the magic number remains 1. And if the Bombers beat the Angels tonight, they take the American League East crown for the first time in 7 years. Masahiro Tanaka takes the bump tonight for New York in the Bronx at 6:35. Meanwhile, the Mets are off tonight. They're out in Cincinnati tomorrow to begin a series with the Reds. Jacob deGrom will get the ball for the Amazons, looking to extend the win streak to 3. The Mets sit 3 games back of the Cubs and the Brewers for the second wildcard spot with 10 games remaining. And in the NFL, more Antonio Brown news. The Boston Globe announced today that Nike has dropped the star wide receiver as a representative. This announcement comes in the wake of sexual assault allegations against Brown that were filed back on September 10th. Yesterday, it was announced that Brown won't be prosecuted because of the statute of limitations. No word yet on whether Brown will suit up for the Patriots on Sunday against the Jets. And on Thursday Night Football this evening, it's the Titans and the Jaguars. Jacksonville star cornerback Jalen Ramsey might be playing his last game in a Jaguars uniform. The 2-time Pro Bowler has requested a trade, and reports are that every team has at least placed a call about Ramsey's availability. Guys?
Now, Jonah, back to Q's football.
Yeah.
We've obviously started the season with a few disappointments. Is there light at the end of the tunnel this weekend?
There might be. I mean, this would certainly be the weekend to get off the schneid. Western Michigan not as formidable of an opponent as Clemson was last week. I mean, it only goes downhill after you face the #1 team in the country. But the head coach, Tim Lester of Western Michigan, he coached at Syracuse for a number of years. He actually brought Eric Dungey to Central New York, so he's very familiar with this team.
Sure he is. Definitely a few interesting storylines going on there.
Sure.
Let's hope we pull off the win. Jonah, thank you.
Sure.
And coming up, we'll have one last look at your weather when Citrus TV News Live at 6 returns.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Maybe he's really focused.
Maybe he likes spinning the wheels.
Maybe he just loves trucks.
Preoccupation with objects is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today.
Now look at that 5-day weather forecast. Nothing but sun as far as the eye can see, except for when the eye hits Monday and then you start to see rain. So that's a little bit depressing, but for the most part, a lot of sun we can look forward to this week, guys. I hope you're excited, because I am.
All right, thanks, Sunny. Now, let's look a little bit further into the future. We were talking about all these changes to graduation. It's going to be outside on the quad instead of in the dome. In the past, they've seen some snow, rain. Any predictions for what we're going to see graduation? Could it snow?
You know what, Gab? I'm so glad you asked me that, because since 1902, 11% of Mays have had snow in them. So that roughly means that we have about a 1 in 10 chance of getting snow. I love snow, so I'm personally really excited. I hope we get a little bit of flurries.
In a way, it would certainly be pretty poetic.
It would be.
It
would be poetic.
Sunny, thank you so much.
No problem.
Small Nevada towns are preparing for the large crowds expected at the Storm Area 51 event. The towns of Rachel and Heiko, near the military research site, are already seeing an influx of visitors from all around the world.
A Facebook post from over the summer prompted the craze over Area 51 and the secrets kept inside. County officials and the residents in the Nevada towns have said, quote, "We are preparing for the worst."
Now, we're bringing Sunny and Jonah back to desk here to be part of our Citrus TV alien panel, if you will.
Oh,
now,
yes.
I'm so excited.
As we all know, this all started in a bit of a Facebook meme event thing, where essentially a bunch of people just signed up and said that they were going to raid a military base.
I signed up. Very excited.
You're a part of this?
Did you really sign up?
Of course. I was going to go. My flight got canceled, though. I just have no money left.
Well, for your sake, I'm glad it was
This is
canceled.
the most like millennial Gen Z thing that I think I have maybe ever heard of. Like, we're going to sign up on Facebook. Yeah, but to make the Facebook event and then actually go and do this, I don't think it's going to end well.
I think it will end well, because I think we're actually going to get hardcore proof that there are aliens. Statistically speaking, there are aliens. I support that. That is my personal opinion.
I would generally agree. And I got to say that we are coming off of an alien-heavy news week. We have confirmation from the Navy that video, released by Blink-182, I might add, that blurry video of UFOs, they are confirming that they are UFOs. They're just not too happy with the terminology. Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens, right?
We also think that Bigfoot is real and the abominable snowman and Godzilla, right?
No, I think we're taking it
just so we're clear. I think that's the perfect
far.
place to leave it. That's all the time we have for you on Citrus TV News. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all of the latest news across campus.
Thank you for joining us today. Have a good night.